Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the last day of Bookmas. I think this is Bookmas day 6. And I'm so happy that we're ending the year off with the end of the year book tag. I did this tag last year and I used Destiny's questions that she did last year. So I used those same questions. I've tweaked some of them and like I've gotten other questions from like other end of year book tags. I also used Destiny Sidwell's new one and then Sarah Crowley's new end of year book tag. I have Cup of Tea and then I also have A Witch's Brew Alani. Let's crack this. And then I have the books there. I don't know how we're gonna do this because they're all out of order. So the first question I have is a book that you finally read. There's one specific one. In mind, I had The Popular. I finally read this. I think I read this in July. I've had this book since 2022 Christmas. My brother bought this for me for Christmas in 2022 and I just finally got around to reading it. I think ever since I like joined the book atmosphere again and the book community, everyone's like, oh, The Popular so good. The Popular so good. And I was like, okay, yeah, The Popular is good. And I just haven't read it until this year and it is good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really need to get into the next ones, but I feel like this fantasy is a lot darker than a lot of other fantasies I've read because I feel like this one talks about the true atrocities of war in a fantasy book that a lot of the other fantasy books just kind of gloss over. So this one really talks about war and I don't know if I'm in the right mindset to get into that right now. So yeah, The Poppy War is a book that I've been avoiding for so long. Next is a book that was overhyped. I have two for this one. This year I read A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I think Larry Reads is like, she kind of pushed me to read it. She said it was like toxic, cheating, that type of angst, and I was like, okay, yeah, I like the Magnolia Parks universe and Larry likes the Magnolia Parks universe. She really likes this one and she doesn't really normally like those tropes, so like I'll give it a try. I read it, horrible. I hated it so much. I think it was because the version I read, it was A Love Letter to Whiskey and then it was like Love Whiskey, which is like a companion and it's like spinning off of the same universe and the same story just within another POV. So A Love Letter to Whiskey is in our main character B's point of view, and then Love Whiskey is the second half of the book and it's in the guy's POV. I don't remember his name. And I just hated their relationship so much. It was like toxic, but it was just like stupid toxic. Like shut up and just like get it together. Like get your life together, please. I feel like the stakes and like the emotional baggage wasn't as fleshed out as like why BJ cheated in Magnolia Parks and stuff like that. So you know what I mean? Like it's just not, it didn't live up to what I was expecting it to live up to and I hated it because I didn't like the writing. And second half, Love Whiskey, which is the boy's POV, it was like she like copy and pasted the exact same sentences and just changed the pronoun. It was like I was reading the same exact thing. It really made me mad. I don't know, like I hated it. So, and then next was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I gave this like 2.5 stars. I did not like Ford at all. Rosie was fine, but I was just like, this book is so long for like really nothing to happen, and it was just like Ford and Rosie like flirting like majority of the book. Like I felt like there was no like stakes to the relationship. I just didn't like Ford enough to be like, oh yeah, I'm rooting for them. He just gave me nothing. This book gave me nothing. I read like 500 pages for nothing. Duh, I know I go into a romance book like knowing that the couple's gonna end up together at the end, but like it was just like so dragged out. This book could have been 300 pages. What? Question number 3, best book adaptation, and I have 2 for this one again. I just can't make up my mind, so I will have multiple answers. First is, I didn't read this book, but I watched the adaptation. I watched One Day on Netflix, and One Day is by, David Nichols. I remember I watched it when it came out. I called the ending. I really did call the ending. I was just like, this is gonna happen. But I know that a lot of people don't really like the book as much as the TV show adaptation, and I really liked the TV show adaptation. Even like the movie adaptation with Anne Hathaway, I really liked the Netflix adaptation of this book specifically. I do want to read it one day, but like it's on my physical TBR. It's just like a matter of when I get to it. I really like Dexter and Emma in the TV show, and I think the actors that portray them did such a good job. Next, I have Normal People by Sally Rooney. The TV show adaptation in this book is not new. It's not anything like recent. It's like recent, like 2019 air. I watched the TV show adaptation before, and then I read the book finally this year, and I can say that the adaptation is so good. Like Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones did such a good job. Yeah, we loved it so much. They like embodied these characters so well. Like I can't think about these characters without thinking of their faces. You know what I mean? Like they just embodied the characters. Great adaptation. People that store their books in a wall like this, they're like psychopaths. My next question is a book that surprised you. First, I have Hello Beautiful by Anna Napolitano. I read this in January. Before this year, I never really read literary fiction too often. So it felt like too mundane for me. And I feel I was like, yeah, like why would I want to read about like real life basically? And this book like single-handedly changed my mind. I love this book, and it also surprised me because not only was it a genre that I just didn't really like read that much, I also DNF'd this book the previous year. Like I tried reading this in 2023 and then like I got like 15 pages, 30 pages in, and it was just talking about our character in basketball, and I was just like, I don't care about basketball. And so I put it down, and then I had to read it for a video this year, and lo and behold, it turned out to be a 5 stars. So don't judge a book by its cover or by the first 30 pages. So I really enjoyed this. This is a like a Little Women reimagining, retelling type of thing, but it like takes elements of Little Women, but it's not fully Little Women, duh. But we follow a relationship between Will and Julia, and they meet in college. Like, and it talks about how Will gets involved with Julia's family. Really surprised about this one. Next, I have Lovely War by Julie Berry. Okay, so I think I saw Ashlyn read this, and she was raving about it to her husband. So after Ashlyn read it, it was on my radar, and then Destiny read it, and she really enjoyed it. I think it was like a 4.5, and I was like, okay, definitely gotta read this now. Read it, loved it, 4.5 stars. So good. I don't know why I was expecting not to really like it. It's a historical fiction book, and it's set during World War I, and it has like a fantastical element with the Greek gods, and I just loved the way that the story was written, and I loved the Greek gods aspect especially. I think it just added so much, and I think the romances within this are so cute. They're so pure. They're like pure love, and this is also YA. So I don't know, if I saw this on the shelf, I would never have picked it up, but really pleasantly surprised. Next is a new author that you discovered this year. First, I have Sally Rooney. I think I read 3 Sally Rooney books this year. I've read Beautiful World, Where Are You, Normal People, and then Intermezzo. I don't have a physical copy of that. I borrowed it from my library. And so all I have left is Conversations with Friends, and I love Sally Rooney's work. I love the way she writes, and I love the characters she creates, and they're all so flawed, and so it makes reading it so enjoyable because you're like, how are they gonna grow as characters? So amazing, and I love her work. And then next I have Frederick Bachman. I love Frederick Bachman. I read Beartown in March of this year, and it's quickly become one of my favorite books ever, and I've loved this Beartown series with all of my heart. So I've read Beartown, Us Against You, The Winners, A Man Called Ove, and I have to read like his other works. I think it's like Anne Marie, Britt Marie, My Grandmother, like with a cat on the cover, and I also have to read Anxious People. So I really love his work. I love the way he creates characters again, and I love his writing. It makes you reflect, and it's not like a lot of other authors do that. So like when I read Frederick Bachman's work, I really have to sit and reflect and think about what he's saying and like apply it to real life. So I just love his work. So should I put these up? I will. Okay, we're kind of flying through this. Next is best and worst new release. I'm gonna say the worst release I've read this year was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I just didn't like this fantasy. I think it was entirely too long for literally nothing to happen. And there was a scene in this book specifically that I just felt like was really icky. It's our main character and the love interest. They're seeing a new community of people, and they don't agree with one of the practices that they're doing, and it just demonizes that group of people so much. And I was just like, for them not to really be the enemy that we're like focusing on, and it was just like a one-off thing. They're like, oh yeah, they visited this community and they don't agree with the practice and they think they're barbarians basically. I hated that book. I hated that scene. For it to be so long, and then there's like some like past diary entries that you read. At first they're like fun, and then you get so annoyed with them, and then they play a part in the book, duh. But like it was just like whatever. And then I didn't really like the romance again, and I think it was just bad. Let me like preface, this is like 670 pages long. Like it's so long for nothing to happen and for that horrible scene to happen too. So I hated this book. I gave it like 1 star. So next, the best new release this year, I have Magnolia Parks Into the Dark by Jessa Hastings. I love this book. This book, the whole Magnolia Parks universe, they're my girl. I love this book. So good. It was just so nice to see and like wrap up BJ and Magnolia's storyline and see the growth that they had since the first book. I think the writing is so good. The quotes in here are just amazing, and we'll get into that later, but I love this book so much. And then my second best new release is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I read this like literally this week. It's so good. It's just living rent free in my head. I love it so much. I think the writing is so good. The way that Sally Rooney can make you she makes you feel the emotions that the characters are going through, and it really hurts. And so I love Sally Rooney's writing because of that. I love the characters she writes. I told you, I think her characters are always so flawed that you want to keep reading so you can see them grow as characters and grow as people. Next, I have the most disappointing reads of the year. First, I have A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Lynn. I've seen this book in the discount section of my Books A Million, and so I've always seen it. I always think the cover is just beautiful. I think it's the most gorgeous cover ever, and even the new editions of this book are beautiful. Read this book. It's not good. There's a plot of incest in here. It's not true incest, but it's incest adjacent, and I just don't understand how no one's talking about that. I think the author tried to do too many tropes of typical YA fantasy. So there's a competition, she has to figure out something, she's involved with a hidden prince type of thing, and it's just whatever. And I felt like the reasoning for our main character to go into the competition was valid, but she totally forgot that when she was at the competition. She forgot about the whole reason she was there basically, and was just oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, who's that Mysteria guy? And I was just there's just no way. And I just don't understand. I feel the world building was not there. Basically the magic system is within tea, so they go to the competition and just brew some tea basically. That's simplifying it, but they do that. I just didn't really understand it. I think it was just not a good book. I didn't really like it, and I don't want to continue with the series. It's such a beautiful cover, but I just did not like the book at all. So, and then next, as another disappointing read, I have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I put this question down in the middle of the video, so all the toxic people that love Robin Hobb, don't continue watching this far into the video. And if you're here and you loved Assassin's Apprentice, I'm sorry. I liked Fitz. I really liked Fitz. I think this book was just too slow for me. I think it's too slow for me, and I just didn't care. I didn't care at that point. I was just reading it to read it, and I just think it was so slow that I was just I really want to DNF it. I should have DNF'd it, but I didn't because I was reading it for a video. Yeah, I just didn't really enjoy my time, and I think I could enjoy the rest of the Farseer trilogy, but I think that Robin Hobb's writing is just not clicking for me. I think it's entirely too slow for my taste, and I would get bored. I think she does incredible work in the fantasy community as a woman, and I applaud her for that, but I just can't. I just don't like it. So I'm not gonna continue reading on with the Farseer trilogy or the Realm of the Elderlings series, but I know people love it, and I'm not shitting on that, because I do think I did like it. It was just too slow. You know what I mean? Because it was too slow, I had to give it a 1 star. So yeah, that's just my rating. I'm sorry. Next is the longest book that you read this year, and my longest book was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. This is 984 pages. I've reevaluated my rating. I just don't care about the Throne of Glass series too much. It doesn't have an impact on me. I don't really care about the characters a lot like that. And I know that people do. People really love the main character in this series specifically, but I have main characters that I love thousands of times more than this main character, and I think the plot's fine. It's whatever. I just don't think it's the political masterpiece people are putting it out to be. And yeah, that's just my opinion. I've reevaluated. This used to be a 5-star. It's not a 5-star. I think it's just the high of finishing an 8-book series that I just was just yeah, whatever. So yeah, this is the longest book I've read, and I am proud of that I read this. It is such a long book that I'm just wow, that's crazy. So there's that. Next is the shortest book I read, and my shortest book was Graveyard Shift by Emma Rio. This is a thriller horror novella. I don't think it's as good as If We Were Villains, but I liked the writing. It was just a 3-star, very middle of the line. It was just whatever. This is 144 pages, so not a lot can happen, and you're flipping through 5 or 6 POVs, and they're just trying to figure out this it's a mystery. It's what is this happening and why is this happening at this graveyard? So they're what is this guy burying? So basically that. Not my favorite, not the worst. 3 stars. Middle of the line book. Recommend it if you like Emma Rio's work. I enjoy Emma Rio's writing, so that's my shortest book I read this year. And I'm counting that as a book and not a novella, just because I feel anything shorter than 130 pages is not a book. And so I would count that as a novella, and I wouldn't count that on my Goodreads thing basically. But hey, I'm putting this on my Goodreads. It counted as a book, so yeah. Next is the lowest rated book that you read this year. I know exactly which one. Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. This book is the worst book I've ever read basically. It's a YA romance, and the romance was bad. I hated the main female character. Normally I don't feel that way towards a woman, but I hated this character. She was so selfish, and it was just whatever. And just like the reasoning of doing whatever she was doing was non-existent. Like if she's only 10, I think she's like a junior in high school. She just didn't get a good grade on her marine biology final. And so she weaseled her way into working at like this like sea animal like rescue center basically, because her lab partner didn't do the standard of work that she wanted. So she weaseled her way into where he's working at the sea animal rescue thing, and used her marketing abilities and business mindset to help promote this like sea animal rescue. She's 16. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Like, I don't know why these people are like, yeah, do what you want to do. And she was only working at this place and doing her marketing thing because she wanted a better grade on her assignment and getting extra credit. But girl, it's like during the summer, so you're not getting extra credit after the grade's already finished. It's already in the grade book. You're not finishing it. Like you passed the grade. You're done. You don't need that. The logistics made me so mad, and I still get mad to this day. And I think Quentin, he deserves so much better than Prudence. Next is a book you haven't stopped thinking about, and I could always talk about my 5-star reads. I've decided to not do those. I didn't want to really repeat a bunch of like books in this tag specifically, because I feel like that's boring and you just always hear the same books rotated throughout my channel. So here are some other books that I haven't really talked about that I haven't stopped thinking about. First, we have Heartstopper Volume 4. This is my favorite volume out of the Heartstopper series. I sobbed during one part of this because I related so much. Literally like a picture of Charlie's older sister, Tori. And it just broke me. It really broke me. And I love the characters. I have to read Volume 5, but I just love Charlie and Nick. And I think this one, like, it added so much into the characters. Because up until this point, it's like very like, it's not necessarily like very fluffy, but there are like really fluffy elements of the story, and it's just like really talking about like Charlie and Nick's relationship in the stage of life, and it's just so pure and cute, and I love it. So I love the series. So good. Next, I have Talking at Night by Claire Daverly. This is a literary fiction romance, and so I don't know which one I would constitute it as more. It feels really reminiscent of like Normal People. It's just talking about through the relationship of why these people are like, they just keep not becoming a couple. I think the way that Rosie and Will are so gravitated towards each other, and like the way that like the will they won't they, but the very like they hold each other at such a high standard. It's just beautiful, and I loved the story, and I think the plot lines of this are just like engraved in my head. Like I loved it so much. So, and then One Day in December, it's a Christmas romance book, and I think it's not necessarily the best book I ever read, but it's just like living in my head rent free just because of how much crazy things that happened in this book. It's insane to me. I just still can't get over it. I talked about like spoilers and just like every insane aspect of that book in my reading holiday romances video, so check that out if you really want to know more about it and you don't mind spoilers, but I'm not gonna spoil anything. But it's just insane that every single like plot point that this author has probably think, it's like an intrusive thought. She's like, yeah, I'll add that to the book. Like, it's insane to me. Next is Cringiest Book That You Read This Year. I would have to say, I have two again. Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This is a sports college romance. Really loose on the sports. The second half of the book is just what made it so cringy. It was just like, oh, of course this is gonna happen. And I just think that everything that the main male character stood for, and this is like a love triangle type of thing, and everything that he did at that like 70% mark onward, I was just like, bro, you're gonna throw your life away for this? Like, there's just no way. It was just whatever. I was just like, girl, like, there's just no way that you're gonna do this at this stage of your life. But I think the romance is like whatever. It's very Wattpad-y writing, and I think it was just like a lot of unnecessary like cringy like college, like this is what a high schooler thinks college is like drama, and that's what it was to me. A lot of people really like it. I didn't really like it, but it was just very like, when I think of like Wattpad cringe, this book comes to mind. And then I also have An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. I just hated Colin and his whole like shtick. I hated him like being a washed up genius kid, and he's just like trying to prove his geniusness. It was just like gross, because like this is made such a long time ago, so it is that very millennial type of cringe humor, and I just didn't care for it. And they just like didn't cuss. They had like a different like word for the F word, and it was just like, I just don't care. Not like the F word, but fuck. They had a different word for that because it's a YA novel and John Green can't swear, I guess. Every like third page, like they would drop this word, and it was just like, I don't remember it, but I remember being so like cringed out. I was like, if you can't say fuck in your book, just don't add any iteration of it or like any type of like thing that would resemble that. And it just made me mad. I just hated it. So there's that. Next, I have Unpopular Books That You Loved. How to End a Love Story. I haven't mentioned her yet, so here we are. I think this book is not like very like bad, like people don't hate it, but people are just like meh towards it, and that's the opposite of my feeling. I love this book so much. It's like my baby. I love this book so much, and it's one of the best contemporary romances I've read in a long time, and I love it so much. I love the characters. I love Helen and I love Grant. I love their relationship. I love their situationship thing. I love their love proclamations. I love why they can't be in this doomed relationship because of a reason, and I love the screenplay aspect. I love the writing in this. Yulin Kwong is such a screenwriter. Her scenes that she writes translate to image so well, so you can literally physically picture this as like a movie, and it's just amazing. It's like some of the best immersive romance writing that I've read. Like I picture these and the scenes in this book so vividly. I love it. This is not a book that everyone hates, but it's a book that everyone's like meh on, and I love it. So there's my unpopular book that I love. Next, Funny by Mona Awad. I really enjoyed this. I think like this is a pretty like, it's like a 3.5 on Goodreads, and so that's like middle of the line book. Like people either really love it or people really hate it, and I really like it. So there's that. I love the way that it's written. I love the changing perspective type of thing, and I love how like our main character Samantha, she gets like inducted into this like cult like group of girls, and just like her journey and like the magical realism aspect of the book, it's just really good. And yeah, I love it. So those two books I really enjoyed, and they're so cute. They're pink. Next is the lowest and highest average rating on Goodreads of the books that you read in 2024. The lowest average rating that I have is Emma Rio's Graveyard Shift, and this is a 3.25, so it's not the worst. It's very, I agree with the rating. It's a very 3-star book, and yeah, I don't know, since it's so short, you just can't really gauge on like it being like the best book you've ever read, and so I do agree with that. So because it's a novella, I understand its rating. The next lowest book is Mistakes We Never Made by Hannah Brown. This is a like road trip romance. I just didn't really care about the romance. I also gave it like 3.25 stars, so it's like very on the nose of like what everyone else is thinking, and it was just whatever to me. Like it's like the relationship wasn't the cutest. It has a wedding. I'm not really the biggest fan of like weddings, and it's like a runaway bride. They have to figure out what this bride is doing, and the main character learns more about herself and her relationship with the best man. So for the highest average ratings on Goodreads, the first one is Sarah J. Maas's Kingdom of Ash. I can see that because the end of a series is always rated really highly because only like devout fans are reading the end of a series, you know what I mean, and they're rating them. This one has a 4.7 rating on Goodreads, so I understand that. Next is another end of a series. We have Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This is a 4.64 on Goodreads. I really liked it. I think I gave it a 4.25 stars. I think Jade War is my favorite out of the Greenbone Saga, but I did enjoy this a lot, and I understand like devout fans are reaching the end of a series and they're rating it really highly, you know what I mean? So it's not like anything like out of the ordinary. For a crazy book that is a standalone right now, but it has super high ratings, which is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This has a 6, girl. It has a 4.62 on Goodreads. Really good. I love this book. I gave it 4.5. So I really enjoyed it. I think the magic system and the world building in this one is so good. I love the plot. It has like a university double spy agent type of thing, and it's just really good. I love the characters in this. I'm not surprised all of these have such high ratings on Goodreads. So next question is some of my favorite quotes of the year. I have a lot, and no one can stop me from having where did that book go? She gives him a little smile, like she feels like she has won the argument. He likes to give her that feeling. For a moment, it seems possible to keep both worlds, both versions of his life, and to move in between them just like moving through a door. Then she says, I would never pretend to not know who you are, Connell. The silence becomes very intense after that. Of course, he pretends not to know Marianne in school. That's just the way it has to be. That's enough of that one. In a funny way, maybe it's not important to get along and more important to just love each other anyways. I'm not an easy person to be with, I know that, but if you think there's a chance that I could make you happy, I wish you would let me try, because it's the only thing I really want to do with my life. That's from Beautiful World, Where Are You? She imagines that they must hold some kind of love for each other. She doesn't understand. For them to still be together after all this time and all this pain, she doesn't want that kind of love for herself. And then she stops thinking about it because she can't bear to contemplate what kind of love she would want. Sometimes I feel like the seasons could come and go and come and go. 100 years could pass, 1,000, the ground could collapse under us, this house could crumble and go back to the earth, and we would still be standing here frozen in time, because every second I'm with you is eternal. I've never felt anything like it. I think I have some from Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. I have a lot of those. He ducks a little so our eyes are level. Not a day has gone by since I met you where I have not loved you. I drink those words in like they're water. One name, two letters, frequently the bane of my existence and forever, for better or for worse, my favorite thought. That's enough. But yeah, those are some of my favorite quotes of this year. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. Next question is favorite reread of the year. So I have Happy Place by Emily Henry. I reread this before Funny Story came out just to see if Happy Place was still on top. Spoiler alert, it is. It's my favorite Emily Henry book. So yeah, we still have this. Next, I have Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. I reread this when I was kind of in a slump, but I still enjoyed it as much as I did the first time, and I even annotated some new like portions of the book that's just crazy. I feel like this book is all marked up. Like there's just not a page where like an annotation is not on. So that's crazy. And it's just fun to reread your favorite series, going back knowing all the knowledge you have and just see new little nuances that you didn't catch the first time. Next is book with the most unique concept. I have Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. The magic system in here is just crazy. I think it's just crazy that the way that he like made this world like that, and I just loved Vin, I loved Kelsier, I loved what they were fighting for. But basically they're Ska, and so they are like trying to go up against the Lord Ruler, who is the ruler of like their society. Basically they are Mistborn, so they have the ability to use their magic on every single metal, and so there's also things called Mistings in this world where they can only do one metal. So Vin and Kelsier are very powerful because they can do every metal. So yeah, I loved it. And then next is The Ministry of Time by Kayleigh Bradley. This story is really good. It has like, I think the main character is like half Asian, so it has like that Asian identity within this world, and I loved that part of the book so much. It's also time travel. It's like where they're taking people that were about to die in the past and bringing them into the modern day world and like teaching them about modern day society and seeing if they can live here. I don't know the exact semantics of that thought of like, can they live here? Yeah, duh. But like, I don't know, if they can assimilate into our timeline. I loved it. It gave Captain America, the first Avenger, when he comes back to 2012, it gave that type of fanfic. And I loved it. It was just so good. It was funny. So it gave me that, and it also gave like a Severance vibe because there is like workplace drama and you don't know what that is and how it unfolds. This is this author's debut novel. I think she's written stuff in the past, like short stories, I think, but this is her debut novel, and I think it was really well done. The writing reminded me a little bit of like R.F. Kuang, like type of the way she makes her sentences and everything like that. It gave me that type of vibe, and I loved it. So next is books that you wish you read this year. I have a couple. So I have Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I don't have this book, but this is the third and final book of the Mistborn original trilogy, so I have to read that. I wish I got to that. I don't think I'm gonna get to that by the end of this year, but I will finish it eventually. So I also have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I do need to get to this before the end of the year. I'm hoping I'll get to it. It's a book club book, so I do have to read this pretty soon, but it could be in the beginning of the next year. Could be this year, but I really want to read this. I also have some classics. So I have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It's been on my TBR for so long. I want to get into this. Then I also have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I really want to read this so I can watch the Hitchcock Rebecca film. I think it's like the 1939 or 1940 version, and it was like really widely critically acclaimed, and this inspired Taylor Swift. It's on Evermore. Tolerate by Taylor Swift. So I want to read that. And then next I want to read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. And I want to read this. It's like a science fiction dystopian type of world where these women they're underground, and then I don't know what else happens after that, but I do want to read this. I think a lot of like literary fiction girlies on TikTok love it. So the last question is my favorite book video I filmed. So I have my favorite book video, and then my favorite concept, and then like my favorite video I've ever made in general. So I have my second 24-hour readathon. I think it's my favorite book video I filmed, and my favorite concept that I did this year, which is the pyramid wrap-up wall. I love that. I love it. I think it's just so much fun and a lot better than just like me sitting down, like stand still and just holding a book and be like, this is what I did. I love those types of videos too, but I like filming and I like editing my pyramid wrap up a lot more. My favorite video I've ever made that will never see the light of day, which is my Bear season 1 reaction video. I loved it. I love the bear, and it's just like so crazy that you guys just can never see it. You guys could just never see it. I also love doing the vlogs. I think one of the Bookmas vlogs that I posted is one of my favorites. It has my brother and Cameron in the video, and I love having them in the video. I think they just add so much like comedy to the video, and I love them. So that's one of my favorite vlogs as well. Next is reflecting on my reading goals. So my reading goal for 2024 was 100 books, and I've surpassed that right now, on December 13th, I've read 146 books. I'm pretty proud of it. I think, I don't know, like every time at the end of the year, I'm just like, how can I read 100 more books? Like I can't even name 100 more books off the top of my head, but it happens. So I think my next year's reading goal, I'm gonna up it to 125 books. I think it's possible. I think it's achievable, but I don't want to put pressure on myself, but I did do 100 books when I didn't think I could do 100 books, so I want to push myself a little bit more, so 125 books, and see if it's possible next year. So basically reflecting on my reading goal, I'm proud of myself. I think I've read a little bit more diversely this year specifically, and I really want to focus on doing that more into the next year. I want to continue reading diverse reads, and even like reading like more informational reads, and not necessarily like nonfiction. I just don't really like nonfiction, but like historically accurate like literary fiction works I think are gonna be really nice, because it's like fiction, but it's also true in like the historical aspect, and it just helps me learn a lot more if I'm just reading historically accurate world than just reading nonfiction. So I really want to do that. So it could like go into reading more classics or something like that and like learning more, but I really want to focus on doing that next year. And then I also want to limit myself to buying 2 books maximum per month, and this doesn't mean I'm going to buying books every month, but if I do buy books, I only want to buy 2 max in a month. It's just best for me, so I think I should do that more often. Those are all the goals for my 2025 reading year. That's the end of your book tag, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and seeing more books that I don't really mention a lot of these, so I think it's fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the questions and my answers, I guess. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed Bookmas, and yeah, I'm so glad that I was able to do something akin to Bookmas, and I love this time of year because so many people are uploading. I think it's just so fun, and we just get the holiday spirit together. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Happy holidays to whatever you celebrate. Thank you guys so much for watching the Bookmas videos. I had a lot of fun doing this. Even though it's not the typical traditional Bookmas that you do 12 days consecutively, I really enjoyed it, and I loved calling it my own little version of Bookmas. It was fun uploading more this month, and I hope you guys enjoyed all the videos because I enjoyed making them. So thank you guys so much for watching my Bookmas. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in one of my next videos, and my next videos are gonna be my New York vlog, so get super excited. But I'm so excited, I can't wait to bring you along. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening to me blab for so long, and I love you guys. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. That was so cold. Bye bye.